So any day that I can learn a new skill from the 18th century is a good day for me. I have a passion to try to figure out how they did things in that time period, and it really drives me. And the skill I'm going to learn today, while I'm not probably going to master it by any stretch of the imagination, but I have the master here, and I'd like to introduce Brenda Taylor.
Hi,
Brenda,
Peter.
thanks for coming. This is going to be a treat for me.
Great to be here.
So this we're going to be talking about silver spoon rings.
Yes.
And or jewelry to some extent. And that dates back to the 17th century.
Yes.
England.
It does.
And I understand it was a crime, was it?
It was a crime, yes, and the judges deemed it, a crime, so you didn't want to get caught.
Right. I did a wee bit of research, and what came to mind is one of the ways that because often we struggle with how we date things. Like, when did it start? When did the Industrial Revolution start? And that, historians will vary on that. So when did the actual ring start? And apparently from my research, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would often date the rings. And sometimes they'd even have coat of arms that rings were formed. So they know from getting back to the legal aspect, if people went to court because they were caught with one, they could actually date it. And that's why they come up with this roughly 17th century idea. I found that fascinating.
Yes, I did too. And they practiced it right up till the end of the 19th century as wedding rings. And we do reenacting, and I've made wedding rings for some reenactors, and it's
perfect.
been quite fun.
And they used in their ceremony.
Yes.
And wear as their wedding ring.
Yes.
That's fascinating. So you're going to demonstrate how it's done?
Yes, I am.
So first you're going to pilfer a spoon.
So first I'm going to, yes, I get spoons from various places, and I'm not going to tell, but no. A lot are given to me. So they're all antique silverware. Some are sterling silver and other kinds of silver, and also plated silver. So I've gone ahead and prepped a few spoons already, and I'm going to fashion them into a ring. Now I used I lopped the end of the spoon off with another tool.
That'd be a good trekking spoon if you keep the weight down in my kit. I mean, if it's just going to be thrown away.
There you go.
Might get a little hot.
I'll get it a little bit. I'll file it off, because when you cut the edge, it definitely gets as sharp like a knife. So what I do after I cut it, even to the pieces that I'm not going to utilize, I just file it off so it's smooth and won't do any damage to my fingers or anybody else that wants to reach in the bag somewhere. There we go. There.
I understand that Robin Hood actually gifted his maid Marian a silver spoon ring.
Oh, wow.
Which, I mean, it obviously they're stealing them. They're stealing them from the rich or the affluent.
Right.
And that certainly falls in line with what Robin Hood, rob from the rich, give to the poor.
Exactly.
Whether that's myth or an actual true part of history, I don't care. It's romantic. I like it.
It is, and I think it's definitely a romantic ideal, especially when people want to get married and they want to show that they're married by wearing a ring. So I just file off the sharp edges.
I think it'd be a bad idea to steal a ring that had the owner's coat of arms on it.
Yeah, you'd want to maybe not go so far as that. You want to make it kind of unsuspecting. And then I take some very fine sandpaper and I file it a little bit more so it's smoother. And then after I do that, I have this lovely log stump here called a swage block, and it's got a groove in it, so it helps me form the ring. I also have a mandrel and a soft headed hammer. So before I use the mandrel, I will flatten it out a bit. Use a curve.
So the mandrel's for sizing the ring to the person's finger?
Yes,
Or the-
I
or the
use it.
finished
I use it
shaping?
to help form the ring as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, like now that I've got it partially bent, I'll use the mandrel. It's noisy. If I do this at festivals or various events, I often make the things on site. People like to watch.
Might attract customers.
It does, and it also, and I annoy the odd person, but that's okay.
I work in a blacksmith shop. It's pretty quiet to me.
Exactly.
It's interesting, like a lot of trades, there's a resurgence of late to blacksmithing is an example where, it's a skill not really required in our modern world, yet there are a lot of avid blacksmiths out there that are bringing it back to life.
True. I've been doing this for a dozen years, and over the period of time that I've done it, I've met a lot of people from all over, travel the world and whatnot, and I've had people tell me, especially when I was in Ottawa, that they were finding these, like buying rings on every continent, in Australia or down in the States or over in Italy or wherever that they went. They were making them in Cuba. So it's been around for a long time. And thus made its rounds.
Was there a play on words there? Rounds?
Maybe. Accidentally, of course.
So also in my research found that the major resurgence with silver spoon rings occurs during the hippie era, 1960s and 1970s.
That's right. They were very popular.
It was a symbol of, make do, recycle, reduce, reuse, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And someone recently told me that it's actually making another comeback. And maybe that you can attest to that by some of your sales at events. So people are actually, as you say, buying and wearing them as wedding rings.
They do. And often people will actually, it's becoming more and more of a trend where people will have their grandmother's silver or their mother's silver, and depending on their age group, the younger generation doesn't want all that silverware because we're in the less is more now, and people like to, kind of like have less objects and less things in their lives, and so it's less complicated. So it's like, what do you do with your grandmother's silver? I mean, it's beautiful. It's a family heirloom, and so people will often come to me and ask me if I could make their family silverware into jewelry. And I do that. I've done that for several families, and
that's great.
It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Great tradition.
So here's a ring here that I've finished.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And I fiddled around with it extra.
Look at that.
Oh wow! Look at that little pinky ring for you.
Very nice, beautiful. So we have some other items on the table over here. One I'm really curious about. It looks like an octopus.
This one here, the claws. Yes. If you look at it this way, it's actually a heart I've formed out of a fork. So the tines of the fork, which are very difficult to bend, believe it or not, I bend and then I shape it into a bracelet so people can.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's very popular.
So you also make, I see you've got some other forms of jewelry there, and pendulums and pendants, I should say.
Yeah, I really enjoy the hammered effect on doing on the silver. And I don't know if you can see it with this one. This is a pendant I've been working on, and I use an anvil, a real metal anvil, and a metal hammer to get those marks on it. Mm-hmm. And it turns out to give it a really nice patina, so that.
So with that, this is the flattened part of this is the spoon?
It's a spoon, yes.
Wow. Big one, soup spoon.
Big one, yeah.
Heft of it.
And I find that the sterling makes better hammered marks. Like this one is plated, and it was harder to actually get the hammer marks in, just because I do everything with elbow grease. So,
right.
But I always like to create pieces of jewelry from my various spoons that I find. I get very excited when I see a new pattern on a spoon because I've been like, oh. And the first time I made a ring out of a beautiful spoon, It was a strawberry fork. And, you know, when you price them, just the single fork is like, you know, quite a bit of money. And it's so pretty and intricate. And I almost didn't want to cut it.
Yeah.
But then I felt that it was sitting in a drawer somewhere. Nobody was looking at it. But when you cut it and you fashion it into a ring, it becomes a thing of beauty again. And people sometimes don't realize that I didn't make the pattern on the ring. It just comes that way on the spoon. So there's a few really nice patterns out there.
So you pick
flowers and
you pick them up at antique shops.
Yes.
And so every ring's unique.
Yes.
Every totally unique.
Yeah, it's quite a fun hobby and turning into a bit of a side business.
Nice, very nice.
We really like it.
It's obvious you
good for gift giving.
It's obvious you got a passion for it.
I do. I love shiny things. Once I started making my own rings, my husband was more than happy to buy me all the spoons I wanted.
There you go. Perfect. Well, certainly appreciate this, Brenda.
It's been great to be
I
here
hope
again.
I haven't melted you by
No,
the fire.
this is a beautiful, beautiful place. Like I said a little bit earlier, I feel like I've come home.
There. Well, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.